Hey y'all, hey, we are back for another review of Sisters on BET. They are back. I'm so happy that they got picked up for season 2 because I really like this show. So we are on season 2, episode 1, the 2-hour season premiere. So let's just jump right into it because I know this one is going to be pretty long, so let's get into it. So you see me looking up and down because my laptop is below me. I'm looking at my notes, blah, blah, blah. All right, so 2 things I wanted to say is 2 hours is too goddamn long to be sitting around waiting from 9 to 11 o'clock on a Wednesday night. I was tired and I damn near forgot about the second hour, but I got through it. Second thing, I'll get to why later, but Fatima did the damn thing. Fatima showed up, showed out, proved herself as loyal. Fatima was the breakout star of this. She will be for this season, and she has been for this episode. All right, so let's get into it. So, excuse me. We begin with Danny and the cowboy, and looks like he just got done putting it down on her, and he's got to go. He's got to go to work. He got things to do. She don't want him to leave. And she admits, she like what she's been hearing. She likes being with him when they are together, but she doesn't like not hearing from him when they are not together. And he's confused because he was saying, she in the last season she told him, don't be sweating me, don't put too much on 10, we just kicking it, whatever. So he was giving her what she asked for. Well, it's not really what she wanted, basically, is what I got from that scene. So she's just inundated with the fact that she's around him and they get along and he genuinely likes her. So she decides to handcuff herself to this man in pure Danny fashion. All right, so we're at the hospital and with Maurice, and Sabrina shows up, and he tells her that she heard about what she did to Alonzo in his defense, and basically that all her thuggish, ruggish behavior with hitting people with bottles and whatnot. And I think he's just surprised at the fact that Sabrina had that type of thug behavior in her. Me as well. Sabrina is definitely going to pivot in her character this season, because last season, if y'all remember, I called her very naive, and her and Andy, I call her Andy very demure, very naive, very gullible. Sabrina is proven like, all right, don't let this corporate type job fool you. I will definitely nuck if you buck. So, all right, be interesting to see how that develops. Okay, what else? And it's good to see that Marcus hasn't lost any of his sass, and he's still the same person. And unfortunately, that is because he is used to, being assaulted and these type of things just by way of being gay, which is definitely unfair. But it hasn't killed his spirit, so that's a good thing that came out of the whole situation, I guess. And then the doctor clears him to come. The doctor comes in and clears him to go home. So Sabrina's gonna take him home. He's asking the doctor out on a date, and the doctor's like, yeah, sure, I'll call you. You hold that thought, yeah. As soon as you check out, I'm gonna call you. And he's like, that man ain't gonna call me. I'm glad you know, because we all knew that man was not gonna call you, but whatever. All right, so moving on. Andy's walking down the road, and some dude stops by and offers her a ride, and she's giving him attitude, she's giving him stank face, she's giving him everything, which at this point I'm not mad at her about it. Like, you just been crossed by you've been betrayed in the biggest way, or potentially betrayed in the biggest way. I'll get to that later as well. But she's trying to reach everybody. She's like, instead of you giving me a ride, let me use your phone. She uses his phone and she's trying to reach the girls. Nobody's answering. And she finally gets a hold to Danny. The cowboy is handcuffed to her still, so he tells her, your phone is ringing, you should probably answer it. She's like, nah, I ain't answering my phone. She eventually answers it, and it's Danny, and she's telling her, like, I'm at this nondescript location in the middle of nowhere. Come and get me. And so Danny, now she has to let this man go because he's country, he's a cowboy, so he knows how to get this place because it's not a landmarker, it's not anywhere known, but he does know how to get there by way of having had to have gone that way once or twice in life. So he's going to help Danny get there. Right. All right. So, we go back to Andy, and the dude offers her some water, and, she's still kind of standoffish, still got a little bit of attitude. Again, I don't blame you for having attitude because, girl, you just went through a whole lot. So, don't blame me for that. And he tells her, just sit in the back of my car, I'll leave the door open, just, it's hot out here, blah, blah, blah. She obliges, and she finally lightens up a little bit, and they're just talking. And he says that he has a confession. At this point, Andy can't take no more confessions, no more come to Jesus's, no more revelations, no more nothing. Sister's tired. Sister's been through a lot in the last one episode, a whole bunch of bombs dropped. So, in the season 1 finale. So she's like, what is it? Just go ahead and tell me, get it out the way, because I ain't got no more room. Let's go. And so he tells Danny that he's an FBI agent, that he was working on Gary's case. And so now she's upset because of the way that the other FBI agent treated her in the season finale. And the guy that treated Andy so bad that wouldn't let her get her phone or anything was his boss. So he says, I feel bad about the way that my boss treated you, so I wanted to come by and make sure you got home safe, because I know you left walking and you don't have your purse, you don't have anything. So I wanted to, do you a solid. So, they talk and they chop it up a little bit, and he tells her that there is evidence that shows that Gary was laundering money, and that he had been laundering money even years before he met his first wife. By first wife, not Jasmine, but some other lady beforehand. And this first lady, Jasmine is his second wife. And this first lady, she's the one that put the FBI on Gary's trail. Okay? Hold that thought. All right, so it turns out the agent's name is John Walsh, something with a W, Agent W at this point. All right, so Agent W, talks Andy down and gives her more information about Gary. After he talked her down, he convinced her to let him take her, back to the city, back to where she knows people and whatnot. So he's showing her the file. He's like, I shouldn't be showing you this, but I'm going to show you the file. Blah, blah, blah. Whoop-de-whoop. All right. And so Andy is still not quite convinced that Gary's been racketeering and money laundering. And you know what? If I'm being honest, I'm not 100% convinced either. And as I go through my notes, as I go through my review, I'm going to tell you kind of the hints that tells me why. Okay? So Agent W tells Andy that, look in the file. Since you don't believe me, she sees pictures of where the FBI has been following them and taking pictures of them and, all this good stuff. And tells him about the first wife, and that she's the one that brought it to their attention. And he says that there's more to you that you need to know. And she's like, nah, I can't take no more. I don't want to see no more. Just take me where I need to be. And then she asks him to take her to see Gary. And I think he figures out a way to oblige her in that. But what was interesting about this scene is Andy asks, the more probing questions. Hey, he has had a first wife. How long have they been married? How long were they married? And the paperwork says 8 months. But when she speaks to Gary says that he was only married to that lady for 1 month. So that's a contradiction, number one. Like, if you're already caught, like, he knows he's caught, he knows he's facing all these charges, I don't see a reason why you lying about the amount of time you were married to your first wife, who put the FBI on your trail, right? So, something to think about. He says they were only married for 1 month. The paperwork says 8 months. There's a discrepancy in there. Discrepancy number one. All right. So, they get through that. We go to the next scene. So, Calvin shows up at Sabrina's and he apologizes because in the season prior, he was so drunk and he was so, distraught that his father had passed away that he was talking to Sabrina, like, real out the side of his neck. He was real drunk, upset that she'd been judging him all this time, and tells her, I should slap the shit out of you. Slap the shit out of who? Now, this is the time when Sabrina should have let some of that rugged thuggish come through. Because if you had threatened to slap me, you might as well have just slapped me. Because it just would have went high from that. But he had threatened to slap her and do all these other things, in his drug-induced grieving state of mind. So, I guess that's a place. That's a little bit of room for forgiveness. So she, she got over it. She was like, it's okay. I understand what you were going through. So they get back into a better place. They get back into a better place. And he tells her, one of my dad's wishes in his will was to have a drag show as a part of his, I guess it would be like his repast. Because his other dad had cremated the deceased dad already. So he invited her down to the drag show that's going to happen after the funeral. So they continue chatting. He tells her, that he loves her, and then he just walks away to go eat something that he enjoys her cooking from in the kitchen. So he tells her, I'm glad we're back in a good space. I love you, and then he walks off. Like, and Sabrina's just standing there. She is shook. She's like, well, what am I supposed to do with this information? Like, first of all, he didn't give you enough time to respond, but it's out there now, girl. Do what you will with that information. All right, so Zach and Karen are driving him home from the hospital after he's getting stitched up from having been stabbed. Was he stabbed or shot? Stabbed. After having been stabbed by preacher wife's brother-in-law. Okay? And he realizes that he loves her even more now. She tells him, we shouldn't talk about it right now. I'm still not in a position where I want to be with you, but I appreciate you being there to save my life. And then she tells him, he's apologized so much and has so much to apologize for. She has rehearsed and she's memorized his long list of apologies. And he realizes, like, oh shit, I've had to apologize to this lady a lot of times. So I'm just not gonna talk about it no more. I'm gonna just be about it. And for her to just take it slow with preacher dude in case, things don't get too hot and too heavy too fast. I guess to make sure he still got a chance, child. Whatever. So they get to the apartment and she needs to go get her phone, but the police have it roped off because they're still there trying to take crime scene photos, whatnot, in the event that brother-in-law dies. And so she sends Zach up there to get her phone out of the apartment. And he sees the cop lady that he was flirting with in season 1. And he went to high school with her or something to that effect. And he had to admit that he has a girlfriend that lives there. He doesn't live there. And then the cop confronts him, blah, blah, blah. And, he's putting on the charm or whatnot or whatever. Which, all right, cool. But you want Karen to take it slow with the preacher dude, but you still let it on thick to the cop lady. Even more confusion with this whole Zach and Karen situation. But I digress. Moving on, going back over to Andy's situation, the Agent W, was able to get her in to see Gary. Another officer brings him in and she flips out on him. And this scene was interesting to me because Gary still insists. He is insistent about the fact that he is guilty. No, he ain't guilty. He's insistent about the fact that he is innocent and that his wife and Morris have somehow been way to fabricate years worth of money laundering, racketeering, tax evasion, adultery, like all these things. Now, I won't say it's outside of the realm of possibility. But for me, it would be hard for you to convince me that all of this is made up. And if it is, my follow-up question would be, why are you so important in Jasmine and Maurice's life for them to go to these lengths to make you guilty? Also, third of all, if he is in fact innocent, I still don't blame Andy for being upset about the situation because it's a lot to believe otherwise. So, yeah, I don't know what to do with that information. But yeah, so that's how that goes. And he insists that he was never married before Jasmine. Even a whole nother layer of confusion that adds some inconsistency to me. Were you married to her 1 month, 8 months, or not at all? Still confused, but I'm sure they'll tell us at some point in the season. She tells him that they're done, and so something about that whole scene just gives me a little bit of he might be innocent, but I haven't quite figured out why. So we'll work it out together. So going back to Karen's apartment and the lady officer, she finally clears the scene, and Zach is shooting his shot, and she tells him that basically listen, my boy Zach, you a freak. You got that meat on you. I just want to fight. That's it. Like, I'm just trying to fuck. Okay? Just trying to get them yams and go to my business. I don't want a relationship. I don't want the ties. I don't want no dishes. I don't want none of it. So, can you do that? And, you know, they chop it up or whatever, and she only wants him for a booty call at this point. So he already got her number. They goodbye. Have a nice day. And Zach calls the dude that Karen's mom set him up with, the millionaire guy, ex-con situation. And he tells him, you know, I can invite you to the meetings, but you have to be voted in for whatever this group of people is. Seems very scamish, very pyramid schemish to me. But we'll see how that goes as well. Yeah. So Karen gets to Andy's house, and the FBI has it taped off, and is not letting anybody in the apartment. So the Agent W has now, after he dropped Andy off or wherever she needed to be, he has since gone to her apartment and helped his camaraderies clear everything out of her apartment, because now, as a part of the sting operation, not only her purse, her phone, everything inside of her apartment is now going to be confiscated as a part of the investigation. So Andy's clicking out, as, again, understandable, because everything you have worked for all these years, everything you've amassed and you've accounted for, are gone in looks like a few days, because of Gary, because of a decision that you made, because of signs that you ignored. So yeah, she sees the FBI as they're seizing everything in her apartment, and she clicks out. So that was a lot for the first hour. That's the first hour of the season 2, episode 1 premiere of Sistas on BET. Again, I can't just say Sistas. I gotta say Sistas on BET. And what I will do is I will stop here, and I will bring a part 2 that's gonna be the second hour, because I don't want this video to be 57 minutes long, because the way my attention span is set up personally, I wouldn't be willing to watch and listen either. So I will come back with the second hour of season 2, episode 1 of Sistas on BET. So I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.